Hi guys, welcome back. So today we're going to talk plants. I made this second greenhouse and I painted it to look like it's rustic and stuff, and I did some little plants that are hanging in there as well. But now I need to make some stuff to go in it. So some of the things that I have is like these little bottles here that can be cut and used as planters. A lid. These I sell on my shop. And then this is a toothpaste lid. It goes down like this and your toothpaste stands up in it, but you can use it this way as a planter or like that as a planter. And then these are also lids that you can use. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take a hot glue gun and some flowers that I got from the store, and I'm going to make some plants. Those of you who've watched my plant videos already, you've kind of seen how I've taken ordinary plants, looking at them in the store, and turned them into plants that can be used. So like, I think that's kind of pretty because it goes into that color scheme with that purple lid. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and put a little bit of hot glue right down in there, not too much. Let it cool for a little bit and then stick my flower in there. Now I can leave it like that, or I can double it up and put 2 in there. And then I can have a really full flower. Now to fill this up, if you want to fill it up, you're more than welcome to do that with some dollhouse mulch or some filler. You could do that. Little teeny tiny gravel from the aquarium store. You can fill that up, but just scheme when it gets darker on the inside, because this is a clear lid. Alright, so now that's like that. I'm going to go ahead and put a tiny bit more hot glue on top just to kind of secure it in place. Not too much because I don't want to melt my leaves entirely. But I'm going to kind of hold it up and lean it up against here so it'll cool off while it's in there. And also, I want to take off these little pieces at the top that don't have a flower on it because they just kind of look silly sitting there. Right, so just squish it together a little bit there. Right, now here is some other leaves that I had. I thought this would look good in here, and this came off of my asthma lid for an inhaler. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some hot glue in here, and this one I'm gonna fill up a little bit more than I did the other one. I'll let it cool off for a second. Now I'm just popping these off, and you can probably pull them off, but you're gonna risk breaking it like that. Alright, so I left this one at the top doubled, so I'm gonna just kind of put that one in there like that. This one I'm gonna leave tripled. Hopefully you can see that. I'm going to turn some the opposite way so that they look like they're falling out. Now you can leave this just like this, or if your glue is still warm, you can manipulate your leaves a little bit. Now I do sometimes, if you see me go in and out, I'm poking it down in there and then pulling it back up. That way it can kind of stay where I want it to stay. But then there is that one. So if you go into the craft store and you look at the different plants that are in there for fake flowers and stuff, you will find so many things that have so many different size leaves that you didn't even know that you could find. So like, look at this one. It's super, super tiny little leaves on this. It's pretty cool. The amount of things that you can find, not even knowing what you're looking for in the store, because they just pop out to you once you start getting into miniature. Alright, so this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of these. I'm going to let that cool for a second because it definitely is way too hot for that. Then I have these little tiny roses here. These were a little pricey at Hobby Lobby. I don't remember the exact amount that I paid for them, but I do remember them being a little bit pricey for this one. But you can probably search around and find something that's less expensive, I'm sure. So I'm going to stick that in there just like that. And I'm going to take one little rose and do I want to do one or do I want to do two? No, I think I'll do just one. That way I can use the other one for the other one. And then there you have a plant with roses. And that can be like a beginner rose tree or bush or whatever. Right now, so for this one, I think I'm going to use a couple more of those, but I think I'm going to put the rest of the roses in here. And remember, you can do this one this way, or you can do it this way, but I think it looks better this way. So when you're buying things at the store for like products, don't throw them away. Think about what they look like other than what they actually were intended to be, because you'll be surprised what you'll come up with if you start putting your mind in a miniature state. This one's all wrapped up. So that should be pretty much cooled off by now. Not totally cool, but enough to where I can stick this in there. Yeah. It's getting stiff. So I'm gonna stick that in there like that. If your glue does happen to dry before you get everything you want in there, just add a little bit more. And then there you have a little flower planter with roses. So this one we can use as a big one. This one we can use as that and then wrap the bottom. But for the lid, we're going to go ahead and use that. And you can leave it just like that, or if you have two lids that are exactly the same, you can put them together like this and have it stand up a little bit. So as you can see, that's a little hot, so it wants to move. Now, so I don't like the way the top of that one looks, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit of hot glue on this one that has an end to it, and I'm just going to glue it to the top of that. This one, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the end because I want it to stand up above the others. And just kind of put it in there like that. And then there you have a, once it cools off, you'll have a tall plant that's a greenery. Now the other thing you can do is you can take these leaves and you can pull them off one by one and use them individually to make certain particular plants that you want to do. There's so many different things that you can do with these. So like for this little bottom of this Nexium container, I'm just gonna put this in here like this. And we're gonna make a nice fluffy plant that's gonna be full. Then you can paint it or you can keep it white, whatever you want. But then there you have another plant. And once they're dry, well, cooled down, then they're kind of good. They're stuck in there. So then you can go back and fill it in with whatever you want, woodland scenic or dollhouse mulch, whatever. If you guys are interested in dollhouse mulch, let me know because I'll put some on my Etsy shop for you. Alright, so the same plant we just did that way, right? So now you can take that same exact plant and you can break it down a little bit and do a little bit different of a design in a smaller pot. So I don't like these. I don't even know what they're supposed to be. Maybe closed flowers. I think they look tacky. So we can just go ahead and put this in here. Put a little bit of hot glue in there. And then we can just put one stem, but the problem is you gotta let that glue set up a little bit. It's not quite set up yet. See how it wants to fall over? And then you have one little single flower by itself. The other thing you can do is you can combine flowers if you want. So like hot glue, you can take this flower here and put it in there, and then maybe you can take some of your green leaves that you had from earlier, cut that down a little bit. I cut that leaf off because I want to be able to have some room to move. And then again, I don't like how that looks by itself where I cut it off. So I'm just taking a single leaf and I'm gonna just stick it right on there. And by the time you put all these inside your dollhouse, greenhouse, whatever, you won't even notice that it's separated. Now this one has a green flower on it, probably because it's just how it ended up at the factory. It was probably meant to be pink. So because it is green, I'm also going to stick that in there. Alright, so Let's just see what they would look like in here without burning myself on the hot glue gun. Now in this greenhouse, I don't have any glass or anything in it, but I mean, you can always put glass in it. So do you remember me saying about hanging pots? So like this one has these. Let me take this out of here for a second. So we can make some flower arrangements with that. And for this, I'm going to make it really simple because they're going to be short and they're going to be hanging in the ceiling. So we're going to just kind of do some greenery. And I want this to be hanging downward. So let that cool off there. So I need to get some pliers. Actually, let me get some bendable ones. So I do want to push that down in there, but I want to hold it also so it adheres to the side. Just a little bit like that. I'm just going to bring these down. Because I want them to hang down. Well, this one is being stubborn. Let's just try that again. Let that glue cool. Alright, while that's cooling, I'm going to put another one in there. As soon as I find out where I stuck it. Oh, here it is. Alright, so that one's pretty much done, and that's just going to hang. Alright, now we have this one, which I think this one looks pretty cool just as a standalone. So what I did with this the last time I made this particular one is I just stood it in there like that. Again, you should probably let the glue start to chill. Give it a second to set up. This one is automatically falling over, which is nice, because then I can just kind of keep it that way. And the reason I've got these going over a little bit is because they're going to be hanging, so I want them to hang downward. Alright, for the top, I will put a tiny bit of those little flowers in there. So that one is there. We do need to add another one of those though, because that just doesn't look like it's got enough. We're missing one. I don't know where it went to. Probably looking right up there. It is. Oh, I didn't put a plant in it. Gotta put a plant in that one. I guess we'll just do another one of these guys. Alright, so then now we have hanging plants to go back in here. And it's going to hang up on this hook, which is not painted, by the way. Alright, so now they're hanging in the greenhouse. This guy can go in here. So I do have other plants that I've made. So I'm gonna stick them in there just to give you an idea. Oh, and this one was also made with one of those leaves and a fuzzy, like, pom-pom looking thing. I have a couple other lids that I had saved. So you can take them and paint them or keep them that color or whatever you want. But here are some other things that I've done. And it just depends on how you want to do it. But you can see there's lots and lots of ways that you can do it. This was a flower, and I just cut the flower up and stuffed it in there and made it look more like cabbage. But If you look at my videos, you'll see all of these on those videos because they've already been done. But just to give you an idea. This is a spray bottle lid. If you can see the little circle at the bottom, that's all that is, but it looks pretty cool as a flower pot. I don't know if you have kids that are in those little pouches that it's kind of like a squeezy pouch. Well, this is a lid, and it had two little wings on the side off it, and I cut those off. And then these are some that I got from the craft store, and I just put my own plant in it. Here's another one with purple. Oop, that didn't work out. I'm gonna knock them all over, watch. Yep, and this is why I glued them in my other greenhouse, because I knock them over all the time. You can put flowers in here because they have an opening in there. And again, I painted this one to be rustic. Okay, so I have a few more things. I mean, I've got a whole drawer full of flowers, but a few more things I wanted to show you. So, like what I was talking about, these kind of flowers, you just pop them apart. And then you can use the actual flower. So, like for this one, you can kind of take it like this. And then just wiggle it back and forth. And then you've got a plant that has orange leaves on it that are long. So then you would take that, and what I do is just a tiny bit, I just rub it over it like that, and then hold it together. So that way it keeps its form. Then if you pour it all to you, and you can shred these as well, like you don't have to keep them whole leaves. You pour it all to you, you can put it in a plant like this and put it in there like that. You can put it in something smaller and make it look really, really full. You can put it in something taller like that. Like that. Personally, I think I like this one and this one, but I think I really like it in this one just because the yellow brings out that yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit in here, and what I'm doing is I'm going to get it on the side of this too, which is going to make it hot. So if you're doing that, be really careful. I'm going to twist it back up the way I want it to be when I want it in there. And I'm going to just kind of push it down in there and hold it there for a second. So all those parts of the bottom swishes into the sides. And then when it cools, then I have this fiery plant. Now, if you don't like it like that, what you can do is the same exact plant, I just got 2 of them off of, just 2 sunflowers. You can take this, how this is, you can fold it, if I can get it to bend. You can fold it in like that. And then put a little bit in the center, like just a little bit, like I'm just pretty much getting off the gunk off of my hot glue gun. Like we just did, and then bring it back around just like that. So you're doing the same thing, but only now you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut each one of these. I mean, yeah, you can do it beforehand if you want to cut it beforehand, but I like doing it after, that way I know where my leaves are going to fall. Alright, now that I've got them all cut, now you can separate them just a little bit so that they go whichever way you want them to go. If one falls off, that means you pulled it too hard. But that's okay, because you can just glue it back in there. There's no real wrong way to mess this up. I think I'm going to stick it in, no, actually I think I'll stick it in this one because it's got a little bit of a hole in there already. And I have the same plant, but if you notice, the tips look a little bit different. And then you can also take some greenery if you want to add some greenery to it. So if you want to add a green leaf in there, you can. I don't really like that leaf with that. I feel like it would be a different type of leaf on that kind of plant. Even though in the dollhouse world it's all just whatever you make it. I think I like this one a little bit better. So I'm going to just kind of stick that in there just for looks. Alright, there we go. So now that one's got a little bit of greenery in it. And then this one, this was like a tall flower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all that back. I'm going to cut that off of there. And then I'm going to use this to my advantage right there. And I'm just going to stick that in here. Just like that. I'm going to take this end, I'm going to stick it way down in there, and then just kind of have it like that. Alright. Now, that's going to dry, but while it's drying, I want to go ahead and put a little bit of hot glue on here. And I want to pull some of those flowers together so you don't see that middle. You're just not seeing quite in the center of that, and it kind of squinches them together to look more realistic like this as opposed to like that. Now you don't have to do that. You can keep it whatever way you want. I mean, and again, you're just adding some color to your greenhouse, so it does not have to be perfect. And then just continue that process. And I would probably add some greenery in there as well, just because I think it would look good. And then I'm going to come right up here in the center with it, and I'm going to wrap it over to the other side. So it kind of looks like it grew through it. And then there you have that plant. Again, use the caps and the lids. These you can get off of the Etsy shop, but I mean, they're great for having a whole bunch that you want to make at one time the same size, but you can use lids for various sizes. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to pop this off of here, and very carefully I'm going to put this together with some glue. So I'm not touching the hot glue because I don't want to burn myself, but I want to pull those leaves up. And once it starts to set up, then I can pull it like that. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and put some hot glue right in there. It's going to need to cool. Take that and stick it down in there. Here we go. Didn't want to go in. Alright, now I'm going to pop this off because I don't need that anymore. And I'm going to put just a tiny bit of hot glue right on there. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to stick it right in there. And if it doesn't pop off, then you can just cut it off, but it should just pop off. This one must have a lot of hot glue on it. Alright. So, perfect example, it doesn't want to come off. I must have put more glue on that one than the other one. So then I'm going to take this one and put it right there. And then I'm going to do one more for up at the top. That one I let go at the bottom. And without all the hot glue stragglies, which is stuck on there. You see all these stragglies? There you have another plant. for the front here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some flowers in there. But they're going to be little roses. These I don't care about pulling off because they're not going to show. And the size doesn't matter. There we go. Now I've got it in the hole. So you can kind of see how it's going to look with flowers in the front. And I just kind of dip these in there. I mean, you could run a line of hot glue across it, but then you're running the risk of it drying in the hole before you get all your flowers in there. And of course, you know, you can always add more if you want to add more. So now this is a lid. I don't even know where it came from, but I'm going to go ahead and show you this one, which I think I've already done this type for you before. It's just a little flower, and then I'm going to stick it in there, just like that. You can color the tops or leave it as is. And you can put a leaf or two in there if you want. If you do the leaf, then I would put it on individually, just to make it look more realistic. I had more leaves. I must have put them more. Oh, I'm in here some. And again, this is that little flower there. I'm going to just kind of, since I have it here, and I'm going to finish up this video with this one. I'm just going to stuff it in this hole and make another one of those. I don't know what that could be, but it can be anything, I guess, if you put your mind to it. Okay, so all right, well, that's it for this set of flowers. Hopefully you can think of some lids and some recyclables that you can use. And this is actually like a chair cover or something. It went on like a chair piece. So I mean, there's lots and lots of stuff. Keep in mind whenever you're doing this kind of stuff, be careful with it and don't burn yourself with a hot glue gun like I always do. All right, well, thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Like, subscribe, leave a question, suggestion, or comment below, and don't forget to hit the bell to be notified.